So now, after many weeks of practicing, all the speakers have perfected their talk about creativity and will now present their final work today. And one remind before starting the show, we would like everyone to turn off their phones and also put it on ringtone. Yes, silence.
Without further ado, let's start the third TEDwis.
So first of all, to begin, Lee.
To begin with, Alice, what's come to your mind when you think of creativity?
Rainbow bagels, everything in my brain when I'm asleep, and this TED Talk.
Well, Khoi from 786 have a completely different definition of creativity.
So let's welcome him to the stage, Khoi from 786.
Okay, I should stand down here. So, good morning, everybody. My name is Khoi, and I'm from 786. That's what they have just said. So, and this is actually the second time I've been on this stage, well, this time not on the stage anymore, to talk about the topic in the TED Talk series. So, today I'm going to talk about a different look on creativity, just like what they have just said. The purpose of my talk is to give you the thorough look on creativity and also to give you the best tip that I could ever thought of to so that you can increase your personal creativity. My presentation is going to be divided into 3 parts: the definition, the characteristics, and how to improve your creativity. So before my main presentation, I want to share to you one funny story. Once upon a time, there were 2 boys walking in a deep forest. Suddenly, a tiger appeared, and it started chasing them. The boys started running. While the other boy was still running in panic, the other boy stopped, and he quickly wore on his running shoes. The running boy asked, "Hey, dude, are you insane? Do you think that you can run faster than a tiger?" He answered, "No, of course I cannot run faster than a tiger. I just want to run faster than you." Wow, it's really funny, right? Throughout the story, you can actually see how creative the boy is. So let's start with the first part of the presentation, the definition of creativity. So as I search on websites about the definition of creativity, I can actually see various types of answers appearing on my computer monitor. According to Wikipedia, so creativity means a phenomenon which can be recognized in both visible and invisible things. For example, a building, an artwork, a solution, or an idea, or a decoration like this thing, and anything else. But I find those definitions so abstract, and it's really, really hard to demonstrate if it's right or wrong. It's too scientific for a 7th grader like me to understand. What I simply think about creativity are just new, effective, and useful ideas or solutions. That's it. The next part of my presentation are going to be the characteristics of creativity. I'm going to tell you the 4 basic characteristics that you can actually see, you can actually recognize in creativity. Firstly, everybody was born creative. Now, imagine when you were still in your mom's womb. According to the doctors, a baby starts to develop the brain as when they reach 3 weeks of embryo. So when they are actually 3 weeks old, their brain start making millions and millions of connections between neuron cells and other neuron cells, creating what we call brain or intelligence. By that way, so creativity is then formed, and it is actually obvious that people were born creative. Now I know that many people in this world, they don't believe that they are creative just because they don't develop the creative ideas. But just remember, you were already creative when you were in your mother's womb, so you are creative. The second thing is that creativity is not just a talent, but it is a skill. Now, as I read on internet, I can see many examples of the people who just think that creativity can only be granted to some special people. It can only be granted by God to some specific people who are intelligent. For example, Edison or Einstein or Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or many other famous people, I don't know. But yeah, they just think it that way. But sorry, creativity can be obtained by any single age and by any single citizen, from nerds to billionaires, I say. We can practice our creativity and we can improve it. So how to improve our creativity? I'm going to tell you at the later parts of my presentation. The third part of my presentation is about creativity links to laziness. I'm going to tell you again the quote said by Bill Gates. He only chooses lazy people to do the hard jobs. This sounds a bit weird to me at first. So why does he actually say so? Why does he choose lazy people, not hard-working people, to do the hard jobs? Simply, this is what the explanation is. The lazy people, they seem to be lazy. They don't do anything at work. They just lay there and they're working mentally with their brain. They don't work with their computers. They don't write letters, something like that. They seem to look lazy only. But what they do in the brain is that they think about the best solution in order to reach the conclusion, the best solution. And by that way, they create a great path for them to actually achieve success effectively and effortless. So it is actually a really good news for lazy people. But just don't be lazy in your brain. You should think. What Bill Gates is trying to do here is that he is encouraging lazy people to think more so that they can reduce the workload and achieve success. And the fourth thing is that constraints help improve creativity. So I'm going to tell you a short story from Dr. Seuss. So once upon a time, he was actually given a constraint of writing a short story with only using 50 different words. 50 only. I think that this constraint is really hard for writers nowadays to do it. And it might seem to be much harder for writers by that day, the 60s or the 70s writer, because there aren't many writers that day. So Dr. Seuss recognized this as a constraint, and he really needs to do something to impress the audience who are waiting for him to actually develop one book. And he actually made it. The book was called The Green Egg and the Ham. It was once the bestseller in many cities in the US in the 70s and the 80s. And that makes Dr. Seuss special for his creativity. So that's the end for the characteristics. So now I'm going to tell you about the main steps on how to improve your creativity. Now, I know that there are many successful people who are really creative. They share their tips. They have their own methods to make themselves go on with their creativity. They manage to get their juices flowing in their brain in order to make the creativity. They have many steps. But to me, so I'm going to tell you the 4 steps of how to become creative. The 4 basic steps. The first one is that creativity, you have to be confident. You see, when you are confident in doing something, you can actually do it. When you're ready to do something, you can actually make it possible. When you show your eagerness in the thing that you might face, you can actually overcome it. That is actually what my dad said to me since when I was young. So, for example, when you have a really difficult math test in the next 1 week, you have to believe that you're going to achieve a mark 10, or at least a satisfying mark to you. And by that way, you can make it more possible to you. Although it might not be 100%, I believe, but I believe that you can do it much more possible. So it works the same thing as creativity. if you believe that you're creative and you believe that you can improve your creativity, then you can actually improve it. The second thing is that you need to have the goals and plans. So when my dad say that when you already have motivation and when you want, then you need to have the targets, because you have to have something that you're actually going for. So what you mean here is that you want to improve your creativity. That's obviously your target. So you need to have your goals and plans too. For example, you want to make two important creative ideas a day, or simply you want to draw a diagram about the thing which you're actually going to say about the difficult problem or anything. Just make goals and plans, and therefore you can actually organize your target and you can make it possible. The third thing is that I'm going to share to you some good methods so that you can actually develop your creativity. So I'm going to share you some. Brainstorming, developed by Tony Buzan, TEDwis, six-hat thinking, Ishikawa diagram, or as we say, fishbone diagram. You might be familiar with this one. SWOT analysis, and a newborn technique by the Japanese people called Kaizen, which means never stop improving. Although there might be many, many more methods which I haven't searched, but all of those creative methods, they all come from one nature. They start from one nature. That is asking the right questions. You see, 5W1H, where, what, who, when, why, yes, thank you, and how. So you need to ask the right questions in order to develop your curiosity, which I believe is one of the key to lead to the improvement of creativity. So all you need to do is that you need to ask the right questions, be curious, and use all the methods which I've just listed to you, so then you can actually see the problem creatively. My dad usually say, if you have motivation, if you have goals and plans, if you already have the methods to use, but you don't practice anything, you're not going to make it anyway. So the important part of improving your creativity is that you need to practice and practice. And I know that you have your goals and plans, and you need to be disciplined enough to do all of those goals and plans. Follow them every day, and then therefore you can be creative. What I suggest you is that you need a book and a pen to write all of the creative ideas that you could ever think of when thinking of the hard problems. Because usually people might forget what they actually thought of, just like minutes and minutes after how they think. So just write it down, and then when you rewind it, you can actually see your creative ideas, just when your juice are flowing. So, guys, it's time to change your thinking. You have to stay outside the lines. You have to think out of the box, challenge your boundaries, push yourself into the limits, and overcome the limits. Because there's actually no limit. Limit is just what you imagine in your brain. And so, at my final words, make your life colorful and successful with your creativity, and make every second worth living. Thanks for listening.